Hello and welcome to Cab Chat. I'm Jamie the Cabbie and he is...
Tom, the taxi driver. We're back. We are back.
We're back and we've decided we're going to make a bit of a change to the show from this week. Instead of having one-hour show on YouTube, we're going to cut it down to 30 minutes and we're going to put it out twice a week. So you've got twice as many times that you can actually watch us on YouTube. Hooray!
Woo!
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah, we basically realised that we would have an hour show or 45 minutes to an hour show. They weren't meant to be an hour, but we would cram so many topics in, go over the board on one topic, and then we wouldn't have time to really discuss some of the other stuff that we wanted to talk about. So, yeah, this is a way for us to go a little bit deeper on certain topics, and yeah, you get more episodes effectively.
Yep. So a little bit more work for me because it's me that edits it. Well, it isn't really. I'm going to have to come clean here. Bit of software we use actually edits the show for me, and I just upload it and post it on YouTube with a few little tweaks to it. That's all. But yeah, so it's not much more work. I'll get my teeth back in properly, but a little bit more work, and we can sort of target the thumbnails a bit more accurately rather than being sort of generic. We can target them towards the specific topic that we're talking about. And what are we going to be talking about today, Tom?
FreeNow's brand new genius pricing structure, which kind of had me like a little bit confused to really try and work this out. What's going on here?
Yeah, they've announced a new pricing structure. Not really a new pricing structure, but a promo, they're calling it, where it's actually going to cost you more to get a job. And this comes at a time when we've got both Jump offering no commission and blackcab.com offering no commission to the drivers. So is this going to be a bit of a death kill to FreeNow? Because we've already talked about FreeNow with their priority scheme and drivers not getting offered work that don't do that much work on there. So they're not actually switching the app on anymore. I mean, I'm a point in question. I think you are the same, Tom, aren't you?
Pretty much. I had it open for months and just nothing comes through. And you get the emails saying, like, there's jobs and work waiting for you. Nah. And not because of the season that we're in with the Easter holidays and stuff like that. I found this towards the tail end of 2025, and even into New Year, January, February, when I didn't find it too bad on the streets. It just wasn't throwing me anything. It was just nuts.
Yeah, it's and myself. I mean, I used to, if I was doing a tour in the summer, I'd always turn the apps on towards the end of the day, wherever I was, and try to get a job going south. I never ever bothered where it was going, as long as it was going in the general direction of me going home. And I'd normally get something sort of going in the right direction. I didn't care if it was a short job or a long job. At the end of the day, it paid for my fuel for the day. But now I'll turn it on. I can drive all the way home without getting a job, and I've got quite a long journey to get home. So it's without even being offered anything on FreeNow. I mean, I get offered stuff, Jump, I get offered stuff. I've even been offered jobs on blackcab.com now. So they seem to be working for me. But FreeNow really isn't working for me anymore.
This really seems to be like a bit of a, maybe they've obviously noticed a bit of a passenger slowdown because of the availability of apps, such as your Jump, and of course blackcab.com. But I think this might alienate drivers further, really, looking at how this silly, just weird fare structure works, really. It's just a way of like, how can we change the pie or slice it up a little bit better? I mean, we're seeing it across the board, right? Like, not just taxis. Any driver who's been driving around will know that Pret now do a baguette, but rather than buying the whole baguette, you can buy half a baguette. And it costs more than half.
For years, isn't it? It costs more than half.
Obvious.
Yeah, I mean, Subway's been doing that for years, haven't they? A 6 foot or a 6 inch or a foot long, But
I always found that wasn't the right size. You needed a 9-inch sub. Foot long's too big, 6 inch too short.
Yeah, I quite agree there. They need to do a 9-inch sub. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But it's always been more expensive to buy a 6 inch than it has to buy, buy two 6 inches is more than a foot long. So you might as well buy a foot long and cut it in half and share it.
So should we actually read through this for those who've not seen what?
Go on, I'll let you read through it. Go on.
Okay,
You
so
got
this is
it
what
in
you've
front of you.
pasted in there. Hello, driver, whatever your name is, because they would have emailed this out. His subject line is more trips with Black Cab promo. We've designed Black Cab promo to help you find new passengers and keep your meter running. It's simple. All rides remain metered fares with a 10% discount for riders. To fund the discount, the cost will be split 50-50 between us and you. This is processed via a 5% fee in addition to your standard 15% commission plus VAT on Black Cab promo trips. So it almost sounds like it might be maybe not all their fares are going this way. Maybe it's Black Cab promo trips. But it says you've been opted in automatically. You'll start seeing more jobs immediately. If you prefer to not receive the boosting request, you can opt out at any time by filling in the form below. Let's grow your earnings and keep London moving. Sorry, I had to giggle on let's grow your earnings there.
The other thing is, I noticed a message come out from somebody that said it was forwarded on WhatsApp. Actually, it was a message from a customer that uses FreeNow, and it said FreeNow, once the champion of the black cab trade, are now working actively for its demise. Yeah, and it was basically they opened the app to get a black cab, and they were offered a black cab from Russell Square going to Waterloo for £28, or a private hire vehicle for £13 with a 50% discount.
Wow. Unreal, isn't
I'm
it?
just going to try to find the actual message.
Yeah, apologies if there's any background noise. I'm having a bit of garden reno work going on at the same time as this podcast. But yeah, I'm still trying to get my head around it, because it's one of those sort of things that I'm just seeing, you know, I know a lot of us like to work in percentages, or at least these app companies like to work in percentages, because it does actually strip away what you're earning.
What you're paying.
Exactly. Like if you say, right, okay, you've got a £20 fare, and then you then remove this amount of money, you're then left with this. All of a sudden, it seems a bit more real. But I can see why drivers might get sort of confused with this, because I certainly am, because it just says 10% discount for riders. So it's like, oh, it's great because more passengers are getting in because they're actually paying less, which we don't really want to do in the first place, because you don't want passengers to think, oh, I'm getting discounts on the meter, or the meter could go up or down. It should just be the meter. To fund the discount, it's split 50-50. So you've then got like another percentage there. It's like, right, 50% FreeNow, 50% me. This is processed by a 5% fee in addition to your 15% fee plus 20%. Right. So I had to go into, good old bit of AI to actually work out what is going on here. So to give you a representative example, it works out 20% plus VAT. So effectively, you're paying 24% commission on these journeys. So on a £12 fare, the rider, I don't like the term rider. That's such an Uber.
Customer.
It's such an Uber term, isn't it? Rider just insinuates white knuckle ride, like you got to hang on for your life.
Like you're going to ride a horse.
£10.80 they'll pay for that £12 fare, apparently, right? Who knows? There's going to be surge pricing probably still, because that's obviously the way that Uber, not Uber, I mean, might as well be. FreeNow works. The FreeNow commission FreeNow commission of 24% on that £12 is £2.88, meaning you as a driver on a £12 fare will just receive £9.12, and then obviously you got to take out your expenses and whatever off of that.
Just as an example, this is the actual message that someone posted. It's FreeNow, once champion of the London black cab trade, is now slowly killing it. I ordered a cab from Russell Square to Waterloo, and I'm quoted £28 for a black cab. Well, it was actually £20 to £28, and £5.20 for a private hire vehicle with a £7 discount, only applicable for the PHV service. So basically £5.20 for a private hire vehicle, and a fare that they was quoting was going to be £12 odd to start with.
I mean,
So
that,
over a 50% discount.
and obviously the taxi fare is, you know, hyperinflated, so it's almost like they're taking that. It literally is the taxi driver that is subsidizing the private hire job.
Yep. And the funny thing is, it's like, you know, I've got someone that follows me on YouTube and Instagram and all that works for Free Now. And he said to me the last time I saw him that Free Now was very much black cab first and private hire second. And this isn't, Zane, this isn't the case, is it? This is private hire first and black cab secondary. It's actually comparing the two at such a sort of discounted rate for the private hire compared to the black cab, even with a 10% discount off of that. You know, a 10% discount off £20, £2, they're going to pay £18 compared to £5.20, over a 50% discount on a private hire vehicle. So how is it black cab first?
Yeah, I mean, just putting the two up against each other like that, like, you're just going to just cost compare, because it's just like, right, it's just a straight line from Russell Square over the bridge to Waterloo. Like,
I doubt whether it'd go £20, to be honest with you.
no, it just can't. Like bus lanes most of the way down there. You know, maybe if you go like, but you can't. Like, even if you went all the way
Even
around to
rush
the,
hour,
even to the drop off, like proper drop off where the
yeah.
taxis rank up, it just wouldn't. Like, it's like, what, £15 tops. To give you some idea of the fare structure versus the old fare structure, if we took a £40 fare, for instance, right? So meter fare of £40, right? Rather than the rider paying £40, it costs them £36. But the commission taken is higher, because the old structure was about 18% after VAT. The new structure is 24%. So you as a driver, between old structure versus new structure, are paying an extra £2.40 for that £40 fare. You would have, commission taken on the old structure would be £7.20. Commission structure on this one is £9.60. So
It's nearly a quarter.
I'm about to
Nearly a
say quarter. It's probably the best way of looking at it. If you say 25%,
Yeah.
because for
Yeah.
all intents
It's all
purposes,
about 24. Yeah, it's all about
And-
25%, 24%, isn't it?
I think that's the thing. They've obviously probably crunched some of these numbers and thought, well, if we make it a quarter, then it doesn't. That's quite easy to compute, isn't it? Really, like, you can work out a quarter of most fares. That's the thing with these. You've always got to kind of reframe them and put it into a model that works for you. But when you see a quarter of it gone, you know, you do a £10 job, you're waiting outside to pick someone up. They get out. They're generally less likely to tip on these kind of things, I find, anyway. So you do all that, like a £10 job, and it's you're down to £7.50.
It does make me wonder, really wonder, whether Free Now are trying to discourage drivers off of the app and they want to go private hire only, which is a suicide. Because, you know, if they go private hire only, how are they going to compete with the likes of Uber? You know, their selling point has always been to the fact that they offer black cabs. And with this and this pricing structure, and, you know, the fact, I mean, I keep harping back to it, the fact that Jump and blackcab.com are costing the driver nothing. Whatever's on the meter, you get. So if it goes £20 on the meter, you get £20. You don't, you know, if it's £40 on the meter, you get £40. You don't get £30 or £31. You're getting £40. You're getting 20. You're getting a quarter more on blackcab.com and on Jump than you would on Free Now.
I mean, look at it over a year, right? I mean, I know some drivers do work a lot of apps. I've heard of some drivers that kind of apps are majority of their work. I can't speak for every driver, but I've heard of a few that do work in this way. If I'm going to be really crude, right, and just say, right, let's say you turned over, as a case in point, this is not a representative example of what cab drivers earn, by the way, before this gets clipped up and someone goes, oh, Tom's talking about money again. If it's 40 grand, right?
Yep.
You're giving away 10 grand.
You're giving away 10 grand a year. Yeah,
imagine 10 grand in your back pocket. How many more holidays you can go on, and people can slate you on social media for going on holiday.
Yeah, because cab drivers are not allowed to go on holiday. You know that. You're supposed to just be on working all the time.
You're supposed to do it for the love of the trade. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. You're not allowed to go. You're not allowed to have the finer things in life that everybody else wants. You've just got to knuckle down and doff your cap and yes, sir, no, sir.
In
Uh,
joke there,
but
yeah.
but, yeah, I just can't see why more and more people are not taking up blackcab.com and Jump. I really don't. It's got to be the way forward, really, for cab drivers. If you want to maximise your earning potential, the only way you can do that is not you do work for free now, but to do work on Jump and blackcab.com.
Well, I
And
wonder
in
if
fact,
that's why FreeNow have called it a black cab promo. Like, they've not called it a taxi
probably,
promo or whatever. It's like
no,
black cab
black cab.
promo.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the email, but I'd be very interested to know what the layout of the email looks like in comparison to, say, marketing of another of blackcab.com. Whether there is some sort of similarity there, because you got to remember, a lot of like black cab users will have had all of these apps in the past at some point. They'll have had a FreeNow, they've had a Get account or whatever. Any diehard users to kind of assess what the best one is.
The layout of the email is very much the logo at the top. Free now by Lyft for drivers.
Okay,
That sort of smacks you in the teeth to start with. And then it's got more trips with Black Cab promo. And it says, hello, Jamie. We've designed Black Cab promo to help you find new passengers and keep your meter running. And there's a picture of a guy standing there looking at his phone, leaning up against an LEVC, zoomed right into him. And then the rest of the text, really. And then it says opt-in, opt-out form, because obviously they're opting you in automatically. But even if you're opted in, it doesn't mean you've got to accept the job. You can still reject it at the end of the day anyway.
Yep, exactly. But yeah, basically, very much 25%, which is, and it's quite fun actually, because that email is also sort of framed as kind of altruism, that like, oh, we're giving the passengers a discount. It's like, well, where's this discount coming from? 25%. I mean, you got to remember that was the historical kind of number for what Uber would take. Originally, that was always like 25% from drivers. Obviously, we know over time they take more because of various surge pricing and stuff. Wild, mate.
It is absolutely wild. And it's quite funny because when I was talking to the person from FreeNow, whose name I'm not going to mention again, they was complaining about a particular driver that I know who's on FreeNow, who's taking all the passengers that he picks up on FreeNow and converting them to Jump passengers. Apparently, he's been quite prolific at it, and the passengers have been leaving FreeNow in their droves and going to Jump.
Wow.
And the thing is, why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Because if they can get the same service from Jump that they can from FreeNow, and it's not costing the passenger as much either, because don't forget, these technology charges and surge pricing and things like that means that the passenger ends up paying more at the end of the day than they would if they was hailing a cab on the street. And Jump and blackcab.com are just like hailing a cab on the street. You only pay as a passenger or a customer what is on the meter. You do not pay a single penny more. And it doesn't cost the driver any more. It's only costing him the credit card processing fees on whatever you pay. And if you pay cash, it doesn't cost the driver a single penny.
Yeah. And
this is the mad thing about it.
Well, like I say, that's the only way they can sort of approach these business models like the Jump and blackcab.com is to be able to go, right, well, they're charging the meter. What can we do? Well, the only thing we can do is just go under the meter. I mean, this truly is the definition of a race to the bottom, really.
But then is it really going under the meter? Because
for the passenger, rather, yeah. But then again, yeah, who's then to say they're not going to slap a charge on it?
Charges on it, yeah. Because if they're putting any other charges on it, then it's still above the meter anyway. So, it's like I picked up a guy on Get a long time ago, and he said, I hope you're being paid well for this. I hope you're getting paid well for this. I said, oh, we're getting a £12 premium. He said, £12? He said, I've just been charged a £30 premium for this job. And when I dropped him off, he said, I'll guarantee when I get the bill for this fare, whatever's on your meter, he said, I will pay at least double for that. At least double. But he harped on about the points he gets from Get. Get apparently give customers points.
Oh.
Like air miles.
Yeah.
And they get discounted fares for more points or more, more sort of taxi miles, as it might be called. There's an idea for blackcab.com and Jump, taxi miles rather than air miles. Right? Get your own cards out there to passengers that they can use and get taxi miles. There you go. Free idea there for you. free idea. So
How that one works. Yeah,
full of
yeah.
ideas. Like, well, if the driver's prepared to give 24% away, why not give it away and let the customer benefit anyway?
Until 24%, and you pay your
24%.
tax on that.
Yep.
You know, it's 20% on 24%. So
Let's
look,
go and get a job in McDonald's and earn more money, eh?
you do a £10 fare, that's £7.50. Then you pay your tax on the £7.50.
50, 22%, 23%. Yeah. So you're left with £5 about, and then you've got the running costs of the cab
Of
out
cab.
there and everything else. So you're down to about £3.50. So every tenner that you earn, you're going to get £3.50 out of it with Free Now. That's the frightening reality of it. The absolute frightening reality of it. That's scary. That really is scary.
Well, I don't know. Is it scary for us? You know, we've got options. That's the great thing as a cab driver. You've all got options. If you want to take that fair commission because you know you're having a bad day, you're struggling, or think, you know what, I just need someone in the back of the cab. I mean, go. I'm not sort of championing it, but at the end of the day, I'm not saying what every driver can or can't do. You know, there's plenty of choice and options of what you can do as a driver. You know, I think everyone knows our sentiment on this now. There's probably less incentive now to do it because, as I said, the fare structure, the system has now got a bit worse. So it will throw you more jobs likely because of the discounts to the passenger, but caution, I guess, caution.
Yeah, caution, definitely. So I would. It's a tough one really because there are a lot of drivers that rely on Free Now, and you know, with this pricing structure and with this difference, you know, when they're offering it on the app when people are requesting a black cab and they're also offering them a private hire at a substantially discounted price. I mean, that's more than 50%. £12.20 fare down to £5.20. That's a £7 discount. That's over a 50% discount off a private hire. That's prioritising private hire over a black cab within the app. And you know, that's trying to convince customers to use the private hire vehicle rather than the black cab because they're overinflating the price for a black cab and heavily, heavily discounting the price for a private hire vehicle.
Well, they have to be subsidising the private hire vehicle because no private hire driver in their right mind would do that because you've already. That's what I'm saying. Like, where does that money come from? And obviously, it's like the main income streams are private hire, taxi. So, like, we are effectively, you would like, that's the only way the economics can work on that, really, because they've got to come in, they've got to pay congestion charge so they can get there to actually take that job. And, you know, you might get the odd driver, private hire driver, think, oh, I can just knock that out quite quickly for a £5.
So to wrap this up, if you're going to do jobs on Free Now, you need to seriously think about what the bottom line is and what you're going to get at the end of the job. Because it's not what it always seems. Whatever you're offered at the start is not what you're going to end up with in your pocket at the end of doing that job. Before we go on to Funeral of the Roads that you've got for this week, we owe Free People an apology. Because we arranged to go for a fish and chip club meet at Gigs. Ziz turned up there very early and looked at the menu and said, this place is really, really expensive. And it's going to cost us over £30 each in here. Tom said to us, is anybody else there? And he said, no, I can't see anybody. Nobody else has turned up. So at 7:15, Aziz was still there, and we decided to switch and go to the Seashell in Lisson Grove. As there was no one else there at 7 o'clock, we didn't put a message out because we didn't think anyone else was going to turn up. Unbeknown to us, Mac the cab turned up, Johnny turned up, and Reese turned up. So we owe the three of those a very, very big, heartfelt apology. And we have made a decision with regards to the Fish and Chip Club meets that we are going to do them for the time being at the same place on the same day of the month every month.
Yeah.
So where's it going to be, Tom?
Kennedy's at Goswell Road.
and we are going to do it on the second Monday of every month. And if Johnny, Reese, and Mac the Cab want to come to the next one, we will buy you fish and chips as a way of an apology, because we are so sorry. We really didn't think that anybody else was going to turn up.
We didn't know people loved this show so much, you know?
No. Well,
We-
you would have thought that Mac the Cab might have phoned me and said, "Where are you?" rather than phoning me the following day. But apparently he kept Johnny and Reese entertained anyway. So,
Well, we might need a social channel just so we can upload it, do it in real time. But basically, those that come to the Fish and Chips Club, I guess we will make a social channel based upon those sort of people. And if you want to join, then just obviously drop me or Jamie a message, and we can drop you into that social channel. But yeah, because that's the trouble with some of these fish and chip shop venues, is that some of them have like a takeaway price and they have a restaurant price, as you can imagine, right? You know, it's premium to be seated. But the restaurant prices can be way more expensive than the seated price. Is really, really reasonable for the amount of space they've got in there, the driver accommodation, but also just good. Like, it's not the price that sort of made me go, that's one of the best. It's like the quality of it.
Yeah. I was surprised when we went in there last time. So, Johnny, because you left a comment on the YouTube video, I'm going to reply to it. We really do apologise. And if you come along to the next one, we will make sure that we buy your fish and chips at the next one, which will be, what's the date of the next one, Tom?
Good question, because that was April. So that's going to be June
May.
now.
It's going to be the second Monday of May, isn't it?
Are we not June? We was doing the fish and chip ones every 2 months, weren't we?
Let's just do it every month. And one of us turn up every month.
I need fish and chips every month. Well, the second Tuesday of, is it Tuesday or Monday we want? I guess Tuesday, because then that avoids.
We're going to go second Tuesday, yeah?
12th of May.
So the second Tuesday of May, we're going to go and do the Fish and Chip Club meet at Kennedy's in Goswell Road. We're going to keep it there until we get a lot of people coming along. And then we've decided that maybe if we do try somewhere else, we're going to let somebody else choose where else we're going to try. But for the time being, it's going to be the second Tuesday of every month at Kennedy's in Goswell Road. And if
7 p.m.
If we're not there straight away, because obviously we're working cab drivers, we will be there. Because, you know, sometimes you get dragged in the wrong direction or whatever, but we will be there. Sometimes we'll be there early, sometimes it might be 10, 15, 20 minutes late, but we will definitely be there at Kennedy's on the second Tuesday of every month at 7 p.m.
And there's plenty of tables, plenty of parking. Parking's free after that 7 p.m. So, yeah, I'm all for it. Right, should we? Oh, sorry.
And those three, we're going to pay for your fish and chips when you come next time.
We're going to have 6 people turn up who are all going to be claiming to be those three, aren't they?
Yeah.
We're wearing those disguises with masks.
But I really thought he would have phoned me and just said, "Where are you?" And we could have quickly come back there, couldn't we? You know?
Yeah, it went too far.
Or we said we're at the Seashell, Lissan Grove, but he didn't phone me the following day.
Right, funeral for the roads. Do you know about this one? Stanhope Place.
No.
This caught me by surprise. So Stanhope Place is that little cut through that you're at Connaught Square and it drops you down into Bayswater Road. So sort of runs adjunct to Hyde Park Street and stuff like that. So yeah, I dropped off at the Victory Services Club and I thought, yeah, drive off, leave on left, turn left, bang, bollard, gone.
Yeah, I did know about that. Yeah, I tried that, and yeah.
So let us begin. Departed this life, Stanhope Place, closed to taxis. We gather today for a road we have lost, a shortcut struck down at considerable cost. Stanhope Place, modest, unglamorous, true. A road that would always get cabbies right through. You'd set at the Victory Service Club on your left, swing into Stanhope and feel quite bereft of all of London's traffic, just pieced, just a run. Straight out onto Bayswater Road, job nearly done. But now there's a bollard, cold, squat and round. Our beautiful shortcut is firmly ground bound. No camera, no signage, just concrete and grief, and cyclists who pedal in glorious relief. So now We U-turn on Seymour in Stred, or crawl past Connaught Square, filling with dread. Past Tony Blair's gaff, yes, we know where he lives, adding the minutes that no one forgives.
It's Funeral for the Road for this week. And that's the end of this week's Cab Chat show as well, because we said we're going to keep it to 30 minutes, and we're exactly on 30 minutes. So twice a week from now on. So what days are we going to post? Tuesdays and Thursdays, I think. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're going to post a show out on 5 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon and 5 p.m. on a Thursday afternoon. The show's going to go out. 2 30-minute shows. And if you haven't already subscribed, make sure you hit that button down below, down there, and subscribe to Cab Chat. And you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We're on everything. And so thanks for watching, and thanks for those that have subscribed. We have hit the 4,000 hours to get monetized. The only problem is we haven't hit the 1,000 subscribers yet. So we need more subscribers. Please, please, please subscribe to the show. It really does mean a lot to us. And it means that the little bit of income we're going to get from the YouTube monetization may actually pay for the software and bits and pieces that we have to pay out for every month. So if you do subscribe, it'll really help us out. And thanks for watching. And that's all from me.
All from me. We'll see you again soon.
See you soon. Bye.